We've decided that, there's a lot of great schools out there, a lot of great coaches like yourself and programs that are doing amazing things and are on the rise and need to get that notoriety. And so we've taken it upon ourselves to uh, connect with those coaches, both in Division Two, Division Three, NAIA, JUCO, and just spread the word because there's a lot of great institutions out there. And I think if you're a kid that's willing to be a hardworking individual, student athlete, there's a place for you. And maybe it's in New Jersey, maybe it's someplace different. There's also places that are in a lot of cool locations and a lot of great places to train. So we're just trying to shine a light on those places and institutions and coaches and do our part to help grow the sport and give back to the sport. And whenever we can connect with a Jersey guy and a Jersey school, it makes the conversation even that much better. Ladies and gentlemen, howdy and aloha. Welcome to another episode of Airey Bros Radio Live. We are here, you are there, and you are now rocking with the best. Tonight, we are heading back onto the track and onto the oval with Director of Cross Country and Track and Field at Drew University, Sean Robinson. But before we get into it, you know the drill. Make sure you hammer that like button. Drop a comment. Every view, review, and share helps and grow and give back to the sports we love. Following us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. And as always, let's not forget why we're here. We're here to shine a light on the programs, people, and stories we wish we had access to growing up. If you or someone you know is chasing their dreams in track and field or cross country, please share this episode with them. Now, on to tonight's guest. As I mentioned, Sean Robinson, Director of Cross Country and Track and Field, is joining us from Drew University. He's entering his fifth year and third year with the track and field team, leading both the men's and women's program. He coached Drew's first ever track and field All-American, Sage Hendershot, in 2024, both indoor and outdoor. Developed stars like Toby Gaynor, a three-time All-Landmark, two-time All-Region, and school history record maker. Kate Rice, who broke Drew's all-time 5K and 6K records in her season debut. And you may know Coach Robinson from his time at Morris Hills, where he built a dynasty, winning 10 state titles, 21 sectional championships, multiple national level relay teams, and an induction into the NJSCA Hall of Fame in 2015. Without further ado, it is an honor and a pleasure, and we do greatly appreciate your time this evening. Coach Robinson, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Coach, before we get too far into it, anywhere you want us to send recruits, parents, anyone that has questions, they want to get in touch with you, wherever you want people to find you or find the program on social media or wherever, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key thing is always, for any recruit, you want to always start with the recruiting questionnaire. In our case, Drew University, .com or, drew.edu. We use, you got to be involved with Insta. So that's kind of where everything's going now. So we have numerous outlets there as well. That's basically it for us.
Awesome. We'll put all that stuff in the show notes for you as well. And Coach, probably the most important question we're going to ask you all evening as a Jersey guy, we like to ask all of our Jersey guests this question. Is it pork roll or Taylor ham?
I gotta go Taylor ham. I'm in the north, so I like my Taylor ham.
All right. We've had a couple of North Jersey coaches. I'm mostly from the wrestling side, but we do know that they love their Taylor ham up there above the bridge, and anywhere down south or at the shore where we're from, it's pork roll. But we, as our friend and former guest Dave Santamaria said, I don't care what you call it as long as I get my sandwich.
No doubt.
So, Coach, we followed you for a while. I was coaching when you were at Morris Hills, and you did an unbelievable job there. But I'm curious, and one thing we like to find out, we all have our origin story to the sport. What got you into running? Were you an athlete coming up? Did you run in high school and college? And when did coaching become a thing for you?
I was fortunate. My dad was the basketball coach at my high school. I was a basketball player my entire life. He said, "Hey, why don't you go out for cross country to get ready for the fourth quarter?" Long story short, my junior year, the second race, I won this big race in Scranton and decided I needed to take it a little more seriously, and just really fell in love with the sport. Had an opportunity to run at Kutztown University and just had a lot of great people around me, that just really made the sport great. We all have those stories, right? We talk about running fast, but really for me, it's the relationships that you make along the way. And I think that's what connects all of us, is that we all understand how difficult our sport is. And, I come from a family of educators, and I had the opportunity to teach and coach. I was a biology teacher for 26 years, and it really kind of, for me, it kind of goes hand in hand, right? I mean, coaching, to be a really good coach, you got to be a great teacher. And I think the education I got at Kutztown, along my own high school, then having family members that were all educators, I got to it was modeled for me. And this truly is a profession of service. When you want to really get good at this, you have to make that transition from athlete, where you're kind of selfish, and you have to be really good. You have to be selfish. And then when you coach, you have to make the big shift. It's not about you anymore. It's really about, what can you do to bring people together and help them individually through their journey, because it's really about them.
Yeah.
And yeah. So,
Coach, when were you at Kutztown?
So I was at Kutztown starting in '93. So I was there from '93 to '98.
Okay.
So
did you happen to run at the regional meet in cross country in the fall of 1993 when they had the fire going there?
100%. I was there.
Okay. I was there too.
Yeah, we were there.
I ran my freshman year. I ran at Springfield College in Massachusetts.
That was a great race.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, right on the line, it was snowing too. It was just starting to come down. But yeah, great day.
That was a wild day. So, you did amazing things with Morris Hills. Was college coaching something that was ever on your radar, or did that opportunity pop up and you figured, let me put my name in the hat?
It was a weird thing, right? I really wasn't thinking about it. Love my time at Morris Hills. It's it's always go Hills for the rest of my life. It's such a brotherhood there in history. I was fortunate to be under the tutelage of Jack O'Leary, who had a great coaching career, and to have his connections to Jumbo Elliott and to have that influence on me as a young coach, was just really inspiring to me, and I just really enjoyed the history of the school so much, and was willing to work for it. But you get to a point, right? I was just ready to climb a new mountain. I think that's really what it came down to. We had other assistant coaches in the program that I had coached. I felt they were ready to take the reins, and there was an opportunity at Drew. I had so many teams winning this building here, and I just I talked to my wife and my family. I said, I really want to take a shot at this. I want to bring high level cross country and eventually track and field to Drew. And kind of with their blessing, they allowed me to take my shot.
Coach, what was the biggest transition or maybe growing pain for you leaving Morris Hills going to Drew?
At Morris Hills, we're used to winning, right? Right. I mean, winning is a lot of fun. But, I think, some people don't understand all the work, all the pieces, we're winning at Morris Hills. It wasn't just me. We had so many great people that were involved with it. And I knew I was going to have to put great people around me to build this thing at Drew, and just kind of just change the culture, and that whole attitude of what it takes to win. And, we're still making that climb. We have more work to do, but it's been so much fun to watch this thing grow, and, just the work ethic and the excitement of the student athletes here. So I knew what I had signed up for. I'm blessed to have an AD in Krista Racine, who was also a former track and field coach at Morris Catholic and kind of understands what goes into track and field coaching and cross country coaching. So that was another big thing for me taking the job is I think you have to have somebody in administration that actually gets it. So that was the reason why I wanted to sign up for this. And I wanted to do something local. I want to do it right here. And I've always liked doing hard things, and I knew this thing was going to be hard, and it just kind of motivated me more to do it.
So I know you said winning came easy for you guys at Morris Hills, but we also know being a college coach is a full-time job, and there's some other things that you have to do as a college coach that you might not have to do as a high school coach, or just might be on a bigger spectrum than what you do. What was the biggest kind of shock for you as far as a role of the position that you might have not been ready for, or you didn't realize how much time it took?
Yeah. Recruiting. It does not stop. And it doesn't matter how good of a coach I am, or I think that I am. you have to land the student athlete, right? And at Morris Hills, it kind of recruited itself, right? We were taking kids from Rockaway and Wharton and making them into things, right? And doing the work. But in college, you have to knock on doors, phone calls, texting. It's just nonstop, and it's every day. So I think that was the hard is the coaching I can do. It's just learning the tricks and the secrets of how to really recruit well. And that's a whole other separate thing. And, I continue on that journey, and, hey, I'm going to hold myself accountable. I got more to go. I feel like I'm still like an infant recruiter, right. But we have made some great gains, and I'm definitely learning that process of when to do things and when not to do things, and also be respectful to the student athletes.
Well, I would imagine too, as a New Jersey high school coach at Morris Hills for as long as you were, you've made great friendships with a lot of different coaches from a lot of different parts of the state, whether, your fierce rivalries and competitors at some point, you're friendly about it. And I would imagine that kind of helps recruiting within the state.
It definitely helps. And, I didn't burn a lot of bridges, along the way, which I think is good.
Yeah.
Some of them are still figuring out that I'm here. Right. They're so used to seeing me in the red and white, and I'll be able to meet with the Drew stuff. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm at Drew now. You know what I mean? So, so that part has been fun. But yeah, it's getting the information out, and there's so many great high school coaches that, I respect. They're doing the hard work, it's just, but it's worth it. And I think those are the programs and the coaches I gravitate towards, just because I know the type of student athlete that we're going to get. So that has been very helpful.
You're also in I think a unique situation are there any other Division II track and field programs, cross country programs in New Jersey?
Well, Drew is a D3.
Oh, I'm sorry, Division III. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're definitely D3.
Okay. Yeah, my bad. Okay.
We're part of the Landmark Conference. What is unique is we're the only Jersey school in the Landmark.
Okay.
So which is, that's kind of interesting, right? Where we can recruit, we can pull kids from Long Island, some of those areas that they're more willing, to take the track to Drew versus some of the other schools. So we're kind of learning, where our bulk of kids really come from.
Okay.
Coach, so being a Division III school, we all know that recruits, parents, they want money.
Yeah.
They think their kid is going to get a full ride. They talk to the Joneses down the street, and Johnny got money to go to Division I school. But doing this podcast, one thing we realized is just because you get money doesn't mean you're not paying money. So get into kind of the fine details of what you guys can offer kids, what kids can get academically, things like that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, most D3s are going to be in the same boat as us, right? I mean, Drew has rigor. It's known for its academics, long-standing. So, I always tell recruits, when I'm recruiting, the first thing I'm doing is I'm looking at your grades. I may like you athletically, but I got to know, can you actually make it in our environment? Are you going to be NCAA eligible? Are you actually a good student? And I think so many times, we kick around the term student athlete. Okay. But like, I'll tell, we have real ones at Drew. What I mean? Like you actually got to live that. So I can't stress enough, if you have good grades, then yeah, you're going to get a nice merit financial package. And that's really for any D3 school, right? That's the priority. That's really in the language from the NCAA, in regards to D3, it's a little bit of a shift. And that's probably why I belong here too. I'm an educator. I actually care about my kids doing something else beyond running fast. I want them to have a chance at a professional job and to do something that they really enjoy and are passionate about. So I can't stress enough, there's got to be more emphasis on doing the little things to be a good student. Just like they would maybe put the effort into being an athlete, it's got to transfer over to the classroom. And the better your grades, the more money I'm going to be able to get you. And I have no problem going to bat with admissions in regards to that. But yeah, you've got to have the grades. You got to show me that you're going to class, that you're consistent. You're taking some of the harder classes, that kind of fit into maybe like the liberal arts type setting. But I think many times kids are sold on this. Well, I'm gonna get this big athletic scholarship, and they don't realize this stuff with full ride, it doesn't really exist that much. That's the hard reality. It doesn't mean we can't get that price point down. I always tell kids to get offers, because if you get an offer, then we can do a financial appeal. There's a lot of ways we can do that, but if you don't have the grades, it's just not going to work.
Coach, this is one of the main reasons why I love talking to Division III coaches, because you guys make me realize that I should have spent as much time in the books. I probably would have got more money in the books than just worrying about what I did on the wrestle mat. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. And I always talk to my cousins' kids and things like that. Hey, spend more time, or not more time, but just as much time studying, because that will give you more opportunities. And that's what you want. And thank you for saying, hey, you're probably not going to get a full ride. That is a myth. I think that's another point we need to drive home more. So thank you for bringing that up. You also said that Drew is heavy academics. So kind of get into what the school is known for, what kids are going there for.
We have a really strong business department, business marketing. I feel like our education department is certainly on the rise. They're setting up kids well. History is killer here. If you want to talk about like theater and drama and arts, that very successful. What I like about liberal arts and what we do here is I feel our advisors do a great job of customizing, the education for the kids to set them up. Many times they have to go to grad school. And I think Drew does a great job of saying, hey, if this is the end game, how do we get there? And let's make sure that we're applying to the schools that we need to be getting into. So I think a lot of kids don't understand the whole undergrad graduate thing. When they're kind of planning for their careers. And I feel our counselors and our advisors do a really good job, with our student athletes in that regard.
Coach, what's the campus like? You guys, I know we're short guys, so North Jersey is like a foreign land to us up there. We don't, not that we're as bad as some people where they all their only point of reference is like what they see from The Sopranos or like Jersey Licious, or kind of like what people do with the Jersey Shore with us from different places. But, what's the campus like? Training grounds for, especially from a distance runner's perspective, cross country runners, you have parks and different things like that for the guys and gals to go run at?
Yeah, I mean, we're a hidden gem. I say it all the time. We're a must see. I love it when kids come on campus because they're kind of blown away. It's just a beautiful campus. We call it the Forest. We have a lot of these old trees that are on campus. I think, what they do with the grounds and, the architecture of the buildings. And then, we're right there. We're right by Lawanica, Brook Reservation Trail. You can run right there from campus. We have Geraldo Farms. We have the traction line. I mean, there's just great running here, in a beautiful setting. And then you can walk downtown to Madison. Madison was ranked the #1 safest college town in New Jersey, and it's actually #3 in the country. So we're pretty proud of that, right? My son is here. My daughter just graduated. That's my best recruiting tool. There's no way I send my own blood to a school if I think it was safe and awesome and, a really, really good education. And, Drew has all of that. No, we're small. If you're looking for a big school, don't go to Drew, right? I mean, if you're looking for a small school where, people are going to actually know you and invest time into you, we're about 2,000, 2,300, strong. We have commuters on. But like I say, even though we're small, we do big things. And the big things we do is we really help people land their jobs. And I think that's probably the biggest selling point. I'm very proud of our professors and what they do. They hold the kids accountable. And I feel our advisors really go out of their way to set them up for success.
Talking about setting up for success and getting jobs, landing jobs after college, one of the things we like to hear about too, and some of the coaches, some of the schools have unique things in terms of internships. And I think it was, we had Coach Matt Gentry on from the University of Chicago. He said one of his wrestlers, he had a summer internship where he made $60,000. So it was like, wow.
I want that
crazy.
internship.
Yeah, same here. Same here. So does Drew have those sorts of opportunities? I know you guys are relatively close to New York as well. I'm sure that lends itself well.
Yeah, what's great is, they have different opportunities. They can actually hook a ride on the train, takes you right into Penn Station. I know, especially like on the business end of it, they can go to Wall Street. They have internships where they go in for the day. I have kids that are doing that and they're actually back in practice time, which makes coach happy. So, again, I think having, New York City that close to us is a big deal for the university, and they take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Coach, you said one of the biggest differences between Morris Hills and Drew was winning. That said, 2024, you guys had your first track and field All-American. How big was that for the program?
It's huge. I mean, because it was so hard, right? And I think it's the struggle. Like you take a kid like Sage Hendershot, there was not a lot of people recruiting her. I actually saw her the first time, like one of the Drew Series meets, and I saw her compete, and I went up to her coach, and I'm like, where is she going? And they're like, we don't know if she's going anywhere. I said, no, that's changing. And just kind of talked to the parents and really worked it out. And she didn't even long jump in high school, which is crazy. So we have all these tests that we do. And I remember when we tested her, on her broad jumps, it was definitely like off the charts. I'm like, you're a long jumper. We need to kind of shift you. And she's raw. I mean, if we can keep her healthy, she's going to have a chance to win a national title, because the kids that she's jumping against have been jumping for a very long time, and she's still learning the event. So we're pretty excited about that. And it kind of sets the stage for other things, right? Now the other athletes say, hey, wait, I want a piece of that action. I want to do the work. I want to be that good, right? And that's kind of, it builds on itself. It certainly have helped our recruiting. We've got a lot more jumpers looking at Drew University because of what Sage has done. And that's how it goes. We have to earn it. Like at the end of the day, no one cares what I did at Morris Hills. They want, can I do it here? And I understand that process, and I'm willing to do the dig. And I'm so blessed to have great coaches around me that share that passion. And, we definitely have a vision here. and we've got more to do, more work to do, and we're going to do it.
You say you're grateful that you have great coaches around you, and we know as a college coach, you're a CEO of the business. So what does your CEO position look like, and how do you delegate to those assistant coaches?
You know what? I like to hire coaches that I know that I can stay out of their way. You know, my job is to put them in position of impact. The coaches I've had, I've known them for a very long time. I trust them. They were either like a former athlete of mine or someone that I coached against for a very long time. So I've been blessed. I have resources, right? I know a lot of people in our great sport, and I know how they go about their business. And that's my main job is to put them in a position of impact. I'm not a micromanager. I'm more like, hey, I'm going to give you the tools. I'm going to give you the resources. Now go. And I think my coaches appreciate that. You know, and I have full faith in it, and it's working. You know, I like to sit back and watch them in action. You know what I mean? And you know, I'm constantly asking, you know, what do you need from me to make your job better? And I think they're going to work harder for me because of that.
As a director, are you still doing some X's and O's for the distance guys and that sort of stuff?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I'm a hands-on guy.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're a high school coach, you have to coach numerous events.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, I'm pushing out training. We use the Google Classroom, so our athletes, it's going right to their phone. I'm really big into gait analysis. So I spend a lot of time in research. I'm giving kids scores. You know, so we're into injury prevention. So I'm still coaching my butt off. I mean, I don't want to, you know, you have to be, right. You know, at this level, I have to be involved. I don't get to just sit in my office and just recruit. I have to be in there doing the dig with them. And that's my main role, right? My main role is to really guide our cross country and distance program, you know, in our middle distance, but I can coach sprinters, I can coach hurdlers, I can get in there. You know, and many times, you know, my coaches were colleagues, right? They'll ask for my opinion. And when they ask, I give it to them. You know, I mean, they may want me to look at something or vice versa. And I think that's where we're at is, you know, I have clinicians on my coaching staff. Like they could run their own clinic in their event. And that's kind of the bar I've set. You know, if you're going to come work with me, I expect you to be at that level. And I think they understand that. And honestly, the kids that we're coaching, I feel they deserve it, right? I mean, You guys get it. You get one shot, right? Like I don't have time to get this wrong. I have to be great for my student athletes. I have to give them every opportunity because once it's over, it's over.
And it goes quick.
Yeah, right. And I could ask you guys the question. If you had the opportunity to go back and relive it, I think you probably would do it in a heartbeat because I know I would. It was that important. It was such an important time in my life and really set me up for my life. And in a cheesy way, I remind myself of that daily.
And I think that's an important perspective to have as a coach. You know, I'm coaching high school cross country right now and down here in South Carolina, and Jimmy and I were just talking about cross country practice and stuff. And I think it's good to hear reminders like that. So I appreciate you sharing that perspective. And it's good to have those little reminders every once in a while. It's like,
yeah, because coaching is hard.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
It just is, right? It's the best.
It is the best. Yeah.
Because the kids don't care if you've had a bad day. You know, and it takes an extreme amount of patience. But man, is it worth it? It is so worth it.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, cross country season is upon us. Are the kids back on campus? How's things looking for the fall?
I'm super jazzed for this year. It's just, you know, all these kids are my recruits. None of them are left over, and it's no offense to, you know, to the coaching staff that was here before. they were a little bit handcuffed. Bringing track and field here was a big deal for our cross country program, and I knew it would be. We have a lot of great young recruits that have come in, and I have enough, senior leadership now. We have that dynamic. Both our men and women actually trained the way I feel they needed to over the summer. That was another big shift. We're not going to have to spend all season trying to get people in shape. I felt like they came in preseason, ready to go. So yeah, I'm just very excited about the season and keeping people healthy. And they're bought in. We have a team. I like the culture. We had a very good time trial last week. And I like our compression. We kind of started out having like some standouts, and now I feel like we're actually it almost feels like a Hills team. We're not there yet, but I'm starting like, oh my gosh, wait, I'm starting to get those feels again. And just to kind of see where we were to what we are now, it's just been I feel blessed to be here and to have the opportunity to do this.
All Jersey kids?
No, we have a few kids coming out of PA and New York,
Okay.
mostly Jersey.
Yeah.
But they're starting to sprinkle in from the state area, and that's been fun. It's been fun to kind of see that gel.
Yeah.
And we're just getting a lot more traffic, on our recruiting questionnaires, and people like actually looking at us to come here for track and field and cross country, which I think is great.
You get a little bit of a friendly trash talking amongst the different states. Who's got, better athletes or better food, better sports teams.
Oh no, that's what it is, right? That's what it is. But hey, if we want to trash talk, you can just look at the Olympics and who's coming out of New Jersey, and I think it's not an argument anymore.
True.
Coach, you said that this is your first season where all the recruits are yours. Are you where you thought you would be? Are you ahead of schedule, behind schedule when you took the job?
We're close, right? I mean, I'm really hard on myself, right? I'm going to hold myself accountable because that's how I'm wired. I'm going to blame myself before I blame a student athlete, right? I mean, that's how it goes sometimes. I think a part of me always wanted it yesterday, right? But the reality is, I know what I signed up for, and I can handle delayed gratification. That's kind of our generation, right? I grew up without a cell phone, right? I don't need an instant, and I understand we have to earn it, right? We have to earn it. And the only way to do that is to stay with it, even on the really hard days. And I believe in having a good loss. I mean, I believe in those things, right? Is sometimes you need to just get your butt kicked to kind of bring some clarity. But the thing with me, and I instill that in my student athletes, I am not scared to fail. People look at the success. I've had so much failure along that journey, and I've learned more from that failure than I have from the successes. And I will re-up. That's probably one of my strongest qualities. I'm not scared to fail, and I will take it in stride. I will be positive with my kids, and my takeaway with them is we're either going to win or we're going to learn. I want them to be in an environment where they are allowed to fail and they need to embrace that failure. I think so many times that kind of leads to anxiety and depression, and there's this whole push in NCAA about mental health, and I think that's one way I can begin to chip away at that, to restructure, reframe how they approach it.
Coach, you said you're not afraid to fail. Rich and we are not afraid to fail either. We know, but as older gentlemen, I believe we've come to that, right? We, as young kids, we wanted to win everything. We wanted to win every practice, everything. Do you find the kids have a little bit harder of a buy-in for that, or because you're so accepting of the failure that they kind of buy into it a little faster?
Here's what I've discovered, and it's generational, right? I grew up in a time I would go to a race. I didn't know what my competitor did the week before. I didn't know what training they did. I went kind of like clean slate. I was given an assignment and I was to do my assignment. And I'm sure I beat people that I had no business beating because I was just told that I was supposed to beat this individual or that, and I didn't know all their statistics. A lot of the kids today, they're so into tune of what's going on social media, mile split, direct athletics, all the information is there. And I really think it is paralysis by analysis, right? They're inundated with information and they're constantly comparing themselves to someone else's journey. And I think that's a tough place to live, to be really good, because you're not really kind of focused on the simple things like competing. Right. So my main job is to simplify it down to kind of get them back to what I think is recognizable. That's going to allow them to perform at a high level. And it's harder now because they do live on their cell phone, a lot of them. And some of it's not even their fault. Right. These algorithms are they're geared for addiction. Right. And a lot of times their mind isn't mature enough to really kind of process what's going on. So that's where I feel I have to step in, almost have like a digital detox and help them to kind of process what's going on and to really stick to process. So that's what I'm discovering is they have very different challenges than what you or I might have had when we were competing, because it's just a different time.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where when the internet first came about, and there was all the access to information, and it was different talk about training and different things, and maybe people weren't necessarily focused on the results or what this person was doing or that person was doing, and just more information was getting out there. And so we saw early 2000s when distance running in the US kind of jumped that level, and we started to take off. But now it seems like, yeah, it's more of this comparison. Oh, this person did that or that person did that. Whereas maybe in that beginning push, it was like, oh, I can do this and
Right.
I'm going to do that, or I'm going to beat that, and not necessarily, oh, that comparison. It's interesting how that's kind of worked, unfortunately. Yeah. Coach, what advice do you have for high school kids? You were a high school coach for many years, kids that are chasing those dreams that want to run in college, be an athlete in college. Do you have any advice for those kids?
I think the key thing is, you can only really kind of serve like one person, right? I think there's so much information. There's a lot of good coaches out there, and I think you can get pulled in different directions. And I think the key thing is to really trust in your coach. You may not always agree with their philosophy or how they're going about it, but many times they're in that position for a reason. And there's got to be some faith and some trust, and it's not going to be immediate, right? There might be things that they can do that they're going to get quicker results, but I think most coaches are in it for the long haul. And I just find athletes kind of like, that whole concept, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Mm-hmm. And there's so much information out there. So I would just tell athletes, just kind of trust it a little bit more. Understand that one race or one bad race isn't going to determine your entire season. Try to stay off the socials as much as possible, especially when people start talking about this, that, or the other. And just kind of like quiet the mind and enjoy the process of getting good. I don't know about you, but I love that whole process of the training and working on my own personal records, right? I think so many times, well, this person's running this or this person's doing that. And, at the end of the day, we're all different, right? And we're all wired different. And it's the coach's job is to kind of figure out, hey, how does that athlete tick? We can have all these great training methodologies, but there's the science to coaching and there's the like the art of coaching.
Yeah.
And I would like to think that I work really hard to kind of blend the two for the athlete, but the athlete need to trust a little bit more. That would be my biggest suggestion. Even if they don't agree with it, you got to give the coach the opportunity. You got to go through the process.
With all that being said, how often do you get asked to do double threshold training? Or, or is that a thing at Drew?
Wow. The good thing for me, right, is I can hang with them because I typically, I'm constantly reading all of this and all the different training methodologies, and I can fire back with, what it's doing to their biochemistry and what we're trying to achieve for the given day. I keep it pretty simple. My athletes, I simply tell them this, and I've earned this. They can always ask me a question. They just can't question. And they don't always know what that means at first. But then I remind them that I've been doing this longer than they've been on the planet.
Yeah.
And that I'm going to make less mistakes than they are at the training part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't make me better than them. It's just that I've lived, and I make very few mistakes now just because I've made them. And I think that's the key thing is I've been in enough, situations with, from working with freshmen from the ground up, the high school level to get them to be an All-American at the high school level, and that whole journey, it does provide me with the expertise to get it right. And like you guys, I hold myself accountable to that. I feel I can get better. I'm still getting better because I know I don't know everything. I know a lot. I know more than most, but I can still get better. And and I preach that with my athletes too. Well, let's just get better. Like, can we just focus on that?
Coach, I appreciate your philosophy and I appreciate your mindset. So thank you so much. It's very refreshing to have this conversation with you and dig into your perspective. I think anyone looking for college running in New Jersey, Drew's a good option for him. So thank you for your time tonight. Is there anything about Drew University and the track and field program that we haven't talked about that you'd like our audience to know?
I would just say that Drew is a people. You can come look at our buildings. You can look at our indoor track facility. We got a great things to offer. What brought me to the school? It was the people. And I don't know how else to explain it. There's kindness here, but there's also purpose. And I feel that every day with my colleagues. And I just know I'm at a special place. And if I can give a student athlete an opportunity to experience that, then I want to do that.
Rich, the more and more we talk to coaches like Sean, how many times do we hear it's the people? It's not the buildings, it's the people.
People and relationships, time after time. Coach, I got one last one for you. I'm curious. Do you miss teaching biology?
You know what? I do a side hustle. I do have a tutoring business. I do keep myself in the game. I love teaching biology. That's, my dad was a science teacher. It's in my blood. I got to work with there's amazing science teachers at Morris Hills. I got to teach in the academy for math, science, and engineering. So yeah, I'd be lying to you if I said, I don't really miss it that much. I miss the kids. I miss teaching AP Bio because you know what it is? It was like teaching like academic athletes. Mm-hmm. Like being a coach actually helped me in the classroom too, right? Because I was really kind of coaching these individuals how to really learn biology, but then also to perform on a test. So I do miss that part of it, but to do what I'm doing now, I have a lot of responsibility and I need to be great for my student athletes. So it was the move.
Yeah. Do you miss it the most when you're doing expense reports?
Yes.
Correct.
Wow.
Answer.
Yes. Yeah, you caught me on that one. I was just working on that earlier today. So I'm like, wow. But you know what? Hey, that's what makes it a job.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I love my job. I really mean it. I'm on vacation right now. I love what I do. I have no regrets. I'm very thankful for the opportunities I had at Morris Hills. I'm Drew to the end. This is not a stepping stone for me. This is the stone.
Wow.
I love it here, and we're gonna go with it.
When's the first cross country meet?
We open up at the NJIT alumni race. We got an invite, so I want to thank them. I think we're actually good enough to get an invite. And listen, I get it. We're looking forward to going over there and rip. That course is obviously, crazy fast. It probably should be an illegal course, but it's great for the athletes to get over there. It's only 20 minutes for us. And NJIT does a great job as well, and I'm a big fan of their program.
Where's the conference meet at this year?
We're hosting at Oak Ridge.
Awesome.
And I am working my butt off on that. But I'm excited to get them on that course. I've been working with Michael McCabe at Union Catholic. He's been a great help to me. We obviously go way back. But they did a lot of work to even get cross country over there in the first place, and to get the Landmark Conference on that course in November 1st. They're going to be flying over there.
Had you done any meet directing at Morris Hills?
Say it again.
Had you done any meet directing while you were at Morris Hills? Is that
it's coming. So I do help the Morris County Coach Association with their indoor meets here for high school. I'm not meet directing per se, but I really am kind of like the liaison between the school, and I'm at every meet, kind of helping out. With Brendan Donegan, does a great job. But I am planning on hosting our own meets here this year.
Okay.
Just because again, I was really kind of full time last year, and now I kind of got everything squared away. I feel like I'm ready to do it.
Right on.
So.
Final floor, Rich.
Let's do it.
Coach, are you a coffee drinker?
Oh, 100%. I can't, can you infuse it?
I'm the same boat as you. So with that said, how do you brew your coffee and how do you take it?
I drink it black. I want it dark. I like it straight up, and call me crazy, but that's just the way I am.
All right.
No, nothing but respect there. We like our black coffee. Coach, do you have any daily practices or rituals you do on a regular basis to show up as the strongest version of Sean Robinson?
Yeah, I remind myself daily that I can do special things. I look at myself in the mirror and you got to fake it till you make it, right? But being a coach, you have to be your own biggest fan, because if you're not, you're going to get crushed. I have to take a little time out myself and remind myself, hey, I can be great today. And you can just take a moment. You have to remind yourself, because it's like I said, it's the dig. It's hard, but that's what makes it great. That's what makes our sport special, right? There's no timeouts.
Right.
You, as a coach, you have to do all of your work before that gun goes off. You can't say, hey, can we make an adjustment? So I value cross country and track coaches alike, because I do understand how hard it is.
Coach, I can get down with that. I talk to myself. I coach myself up daily, so I can get down with that.
You gotta do it.
Yeah.
You gotta do it.
What are you listening to right now? Music, podcasts, audiobooks? Are you reading anything?
Well, I'm a big Foo Fighters fan. So Foo Fighters is typically blasting in my office all the time. So that's a go-to for me.
All right.
You have a favorite song?
Oh,
Too many to pick.
What's that?
Too many to pick.
Favorite album, maybe?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm playing. I don't know if I can pick an album. I think one of these days is probably my favorite.
Okay. Right on. Coach, last one we got for you is a lighthearted one to close it out. You are in North Jersey. You're close to the city. We know New Jersey is known for great food. Maybe it's a beverage. We know some coaches are golfers on the side. Do you have a guilty pleasure?
I am a single digit handicapper. I'm a
Really?
big golfer.
Okay.
I have golf problems.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yep, I'm a member at Newton Country Club, and it's a great environment up there, and feel blessed to be a part of it. But I like to compete. That's yeah. I still like, it's something I actually feel like I'm getting better at. So
Is that something
that's a
that
great.
you taken up as an adult, or were you into it as a
I
college
was
kid or high school kid?
I was fortunate. My dad started me very young, so I was
Okay.
getting lessons probably like at 7 or 8. And he was part of a club, and I didn't realize he was really doing it to have like 4 or 5 hours with me. That was really why he was doing it, wanted to have that time with me. But it's definitely a good, when I'm playing well, it's a good stress relief.
Okay. Is it
It's a love-hate relationship.
Oh yeah, I caddied for almost 8 years at Manasquan River Golf
Oh, that's
Club
great.
when I was in middle school and high school.
It's a
So I
great
know
thing.
I know the frustration not only as someone who
Yeah.
chopped around, but to see, people that I was caddying for get very frustrated.
Oh yeah.
You could see it. Is
Yeah.
it safe to say you're one of the best NCAA cross country coaches at golf?
I don't want, I mean, listen, golf wins, right? So I don't want to get cocky here. And, I'm sure there's someone better. I don't know, but I definitely play it. I mean,
Okay.
we can go.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we can play, but I'm sure there's someone out there that can play too.
Okay. Well, we don't know any. You're the first cross country and track coach that we've talked to that plays golf, but we know quite a few wrestling coaches, not only in New Jersey but in other parts of the country that are avid golfers. So, Coach Scott Goodell down at Rutgers University is an avid golfer. So, if he's listening, maybe he'll take you up on that.
Tell him to come on up and do it. We'll play there first.
Okay.
Coach, thank you so much for sharing your perspective. Can't wait to watch the cross country program and the indoor and outdoor track programs this year. I expect big things from you guys at Drew. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for everything you guys do. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, Sean, it's great to connect with you tonight. And like Jimmy said, we're looking forward to supporting what you got going on at Drew and cheering for the cross country teams nice and loud come conference and regionals and all that good stuff. So best of luck with the fall and heading into indoor and outdoor. We do appreciate you joining us this evening.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Sean Robinson from Drew University. Make sure you go check out the links in the show notes. Go send them a little bit of love. Let them know the Airey Bros sent you. We will be back tomorrow night. Isaac Wood will be joining us from Pacific University. They're starting a men's cross country program out there, so he's going to be filling us in about